I'm here with Alexi Huntley with Nature Air from Costa Rica. Hi, Alexi.
Hello.
Tell us about your project and when it started.
Our project is a carbon neutral project for airlines. We are a domestic airline with some international flights into Panama and Nicaragua. We started the program in researching it in 2003 and basically wanted to look at global warming and aviation's impact on it. So we looked at some organizations within Costa Rica and were able to compensate roughly 100% of our emissions from the year 2004 through to 2006, and now we're looking at 2007 projects.
And how do you do that?
What we do is we look at the amount of fuel we burn. We take 100% of the fuel that we use, and then we apply that to an equation that basically gives us how much tons of carbon dioxide we're emitting into the atmosphere. From that, we're able to look at conservation projects. We feel that conservation, as a part of global warming, contributes about 25% of the Earth's global carbon dioxide. So we felt that should be an important thing. Plus, with all the tropical forests we have in Costa Rica, we looked at conservation projects. So we make sure that these tracts of lands, these biological corridors, are held for a minimum of 10 years each one. We've got about 120 hectares right now being held. And of course, trees consume carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release oxygen.
So you're holding it to ensure what doesn't happen. What's going on with this land if you were not holding it?
That's exactly the key to the issue. As we all know, that there are there's a huge amount of real estate investment in Costa Rica, but within there's a limited amounts of land that are available or useful for tourism development. Mm-hmm. Other than that, you've got a huge amount of land that is basically being held by small community members, campesinos, farmers, so forth and so on. The land within the conservation areas, or rather within the tropical forests, are not so good for agriculture. So the main activity is a slash and burn type activity. So they're using it for a pasture. So what they're doing is they're cutting down all the trees, burning them, and then using them for cow pasturing, which obviously releases a huge amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So what we're trying to do is to encourage them to hold that land by giving them funding for 10 years to hold on to it, and within that 10 years helping them develop whether it's a guided tour or some multi-use development which would allow the trees to stand but still allow the families to make money from them.
And how do you figure the market value for whoever the owner of the land is that they want to hold it versus whatever else they would do with it?
Well, the market value is really determined in terms of, we don't use what we would call commercial market value for it. Obviously, that has to come into play for it. No one forces the people to do this. They look at, many of the campesinos or the community members are looking at the destruction of the environments and the ecosystems around them. They're seeing that wildlife is disappearing. They're also seeing that tourism is a benefit in that people are actually coming to visit these beautiful, ecologically rich areas. So they're looking at that. Some campesinos obviously don't wish to participate, but we're seeing that many do. The equation that we use, or the value that we use, is actually a value that has been created out of the Kyoto Protocol, looking at what is the value per ton of carbon dioxide. So from there, we're looking at that and giving that money. It's really a value placed on it from higher governmental and non-governmental organizations, and then that in turn is given to the campesinos.
Nature Air. So how many routes, how many passengers are you carrying? A little background on that?
Well, in the last 5 years, we've nearly doubled per year. It's been an incredible growth. We've got 9 planes, we've got 17 destinations, and we're looking to go to Panama City next year and also to Managua. We've really grown. We're 80% leisure tourists are flying our airline, so about 65% North American and roughly around 15 to 20% European. After that, then of course we have the national market flying us. So we've really grown on the success of Costa Rica as a tourism and nature-based destination. Of the 17 destinations that we fly to, 10 are located in or near the national park. So we obviously our traffic is obviously coming to visit these areas as well, and that's why we're so concerned with saving them as well.
What kind of aircraft are you using?
We use de Havilland Twin Otters. They're 19-seaters. They've got Vista liner windows. They're very well known. They've been on more expedition missions in the Arctic and the South Pole. They're what they call a STOL aircraft, short takeoff and landing. So we're able to land into very small runways safely and efficiently, carrying people for anywhere from an hour-long flight to 2 hours to some of the destinations we fly to. But we also use them as sky tours. They have windows that are about 1 meter by 2.5 meters. So we look at it as every flight as whether it being just a transportation from A to B. We try to add a little value to it, do some podcasts. The pilot will announce attractions along the way. So it's we try and make everything an experience.
Travel agents, how would they book you?
Well, we have a website. Right now we have many travel agents worldwide that are booking with us, so they can contact us through the website. We have a toll-free number for North America. Wholesalers are also aware of our activities and are using us quite frequently. Some of the best tour operators in the world use us. As a 60-kilometer trip in Costa Rica might take 4 hours by land, and it takes only 15 minutes by air. So it's obviously one of the best ways of getting around Central America.
Roughly what percentage is direct bookings versus bookings from trade at the moment?
Well, right now trade has gone over the last 5 years from roughly 90% of our sales to roughly 40%. That's because the internet has become such a fantastic tool for anyone all over the world to look up Costa Rica and to find individual small hotels and also airlines. So we've right now got roughly 30% of all of our bookings coming through the internet, which has just been an incredible growth, which is also fantastic because we're allowed to sort of market these things directly to the clients, which in many cases are the people driving the whole sustainable tourism and ecotourism movement.
To what degree do the government support the creation of Nature Air?
Well, the government's involved in the sense that they are the best promoter and one of the largest believers of ecotourism and sustainable development. Costa Rica is synonymous with ecotourism. We've been developing small eco lodges and ecotourism tours for the last 20 years. So we work obviously as an aviation, as an airline. We're very much in probably one of the most regulated industries in the world. So we're very much in contact with civil aviation, local, as well as FAA and ECOA. But the government, in terms of marketing, is seen as a partner in this. We've got our own certification system for ecotourism, and we work with them very closely on everything we do. In fact, the minister's here this weekend. One of the only ministers around the world, the Costa Rican minister, is here for this ecotourism conference.
We're going to speak to him right now, actually.
Good.
Thank you, Alexi.
My pleasure. Thanks, Charles.